to sit on my mat. Okay. So, welcome. Feel free, I'll start seated, but feel free to sit yourself on your mat with a prop maybe underneath the tailbone. If you want to begin laying down in your practice, that's okay too. So feel free to do whatever is best. And then after moving around within your seat and, you know, if you're laying down, find props, right? However will make you feel comfortable. And then you're welcome to close the eyes whenever you're ready, right? So no rush. Even at that point, you might keep the gaze soft, not looking at anything specific. Just preparing yourself for practice. So again, if that's to take another movement or two before settling into stillness, do so. Maybe your gaze just falls to the floor or towards your body. Maybe the eyelids do close. And just welcoming yourself here. Welcoming yourself here into the space of the body, into the sounds and textures of the breath, and even into the gaze at the backs of the eyelids or wherever your eyes are noticing. And feel the body in stillness, feel the body breathing, feel the body looking or seeing. Noticing the entire body in this observance. And then for our class today, can we allow ourselves to focus on some sort of word or phrase of encouragement? You might notice what speaks to you today, what bubbles up from the depth of the body, what words of encouragement are presented to you here just by asking the question. However, maybe you're reflecting upon words of encouragement that you have given to another, maybe words of encouragement that have been shared to you. So feel free to gather many words or phrases or ideas here. And once we hold meaning to those words of encouragement, maybe you notice how you're breathing and how the presence of the inhales and exhales serve as encouragement as well. Maybe the stillness of the body here and the support of the body itself lends that aspect of encouragement as we prepare ourselves for our practice. So keeping your intentions in mind, you might let your hands stay relaxed where they are, or maybe you gather them into a prayer shape at heart center. But together here, we'll open up our space with one cleansing breath. And together, we'll inhale through the nose and open the lips to exhale. Take a moment to gently bow the chin to the chest, allowing the warmth of the breath to settle within the heart space and to seal our intentions for practice. And so whenever you're ready, we can slowly open the eyes. We'll bring the hands away. Welcoming ourselves back into our space here, we'll start in our first stretch. So we're going to start here in dove, but then from dove, that's going to guide us into a twist. So technically, we're starting with a double stretch. So what I mean by that, I'll go to this side. You might find a pillow or blanket to support the head. You might find some blankets to support the left thigh. The left thigh will open out first. So with the knees bent and the feet flat to the floor, left knee opens out to the side, right? And then at that point, if you want to prop the thigh, you're welcome to do so. And then of course, whether the thigh stays outside of the right thigh or walks underneath it, your choice, depending on the sensation that you're feeling and what the body is presenting. So of course you can play around with how much that left foot walks underneath you, doing what's best for each moment of time. And then just so you know, after dove, we're going to go right into a twist, and then we'll come into that pause of rebound. I'll talk about our options with the twist a little bit later, but just so you know, that's where we're going. In the meantime, we can let the hands stay relaxed on the body. We can let the arms soften to the sides of the body or reach them up above the head. And just letting yourself fully relax here. No rush. You're welcome to adjust as often as you need to. And then whenever you're ready, you'll close your eyes and you'll come to stillness. Beginning to notice the sensations of stretch here. Following the internal cues. But as we continue to adjust and arrive, we'll welcome ourselves into the opportunity to soften a little more deeply here. Letting yourself relax through the eyes if they're squinting, softening into the cheeks of the face as we unclench the teeth to relax the jaw and the tongue. You might feel the neck, the sides of the neck, the back of the neck relax. And letting yourself release through the collarbones and the shoulders. Allowing the chest to expand above you. Breathing in between the spaces of the ribs. And as you allow the torso to relax, the muscles within the hips can soften, the glutes can soften. Releasing through the thighs, breathing into the skin back behind the knees. As you soften through the calves, soften to the ankles, and into the soles of the feet. Noticing the space between the toes, letting there be space between the fingers. As the forearms soften, the creases of the elbows breathe. Encouraging the body here to relax within itself. Offering these moments of release. Just a few more breaths here in dove. If you'd like to stay here a little longer, you're more than welcome to do so. But whenever you're ready, your hands might lower down, and you'll help this left thigh release. Maybe your legs straighten. Maybe you hug your knees into the chest and wrapping around the shins or wrap around the backs of the thighs. Taking a moment just to neutralize the spine there. And then we'll come into our twist. So you could bring the feet flat to the mat. And as you pick up the hips, you might scooch on that right hip a little bit. As you hug the knees into the chest, we'll take a supine twist. So the knees are going to reach to the right side of the body as the left leg is on top. Yeah, and then from there, you might take a pillow in between the thighs or knees, if helpful. You might even prop the bottom right knee. And then just notice how your right shoulder here is relaxing. If it feels like there's a lot of you on your right shoulder, you might pick up the shoulder and walk it underneath you. That might be a little more comfortable for the bone or just more comfortable for the arms in general. Of course, you can choose to keep the chin neutral, or you might guide the chin over to the left shoulder. And within your own time, you'll pause whenever you're ready. Letting your awareness dance throughout the body, allowing it to soften, allowing the body to release. We're releasing from any energetic holds, whether they be through the muscles or through the bones. As we soften and relax into this shape, can that be a sign of encouragement for the fascia to continue to stretch? And as your senses continuously draw inwards, checking in on the presence of your breath. Sometimes there's energetic gripping in muscles or bones, but that also might translate to the breath. And if we notice the body holding the breath in, can we even relax? Can we evenly relax into the space, whether it's the cavity of the chest or belly? Letting the body explore this use of the breath. It's almost like a power to ourselves that we don't fully utilize or fully understand. So we'll be here for just a few more breaths and staying present within the shape. And of course, you can stay here a little longer. But whenever you're ready to release, we'll begin to unravel this left leg, release the right leg. And you might lift the hips up, lift the head up and lower them back down. The legs might immediately straighten. Just doing what feels natural to the body. And if you're not sure, maybe you'll just stretch through the arms and stretch through the legs, move through the hands and feet. But just notice that wave of experience here. The body will eventually guide you into some sort of counter stretch, a movement to release. And then we'll come to that pause. No rush at all, but settling into that pause of rebound. Taking that meditative moment. Feeling the imprint of those previous experiences. Letting them settle into the energetic body. And it's within our rebound moments where we almost get to watch the memory being created. So pausing here for another breath. And if you'd like to stay and rebound a little longer, you're more than welcome to do so. But if you're ready, we might awaken the body. The arms can stretch up above the head. Maybe you move into the knees or into the legs in some way. And then we're going to talk about our dove stretch on the right side. So as the knees bend, feet come flat to the mat or floor, you'll open your right knee out to the side. Right? And again, at that point, you might find your pillows, blankets, blocks, whatever you want to use if you'd like to prop that right thigh. And at that point, the foot might stay exactly where it is, or you'll walk that foot or slide that foot underneath the left thigh. And depending on where you place this foot, you might be steering the stretch into a particular area of your right thigh, hip, or glute. So just notice what is most intriguing or what is most beneficial to the body. The aesthetic alignment, what we can see externally, does not hold as much importance of what we feel internally. So as you adjust the body here and adjust the props, you can then begin to find the best place to settle, the best place to find stillness within the shape. Letting the sensations speak for themselves. If you haven't softened into the shape, begin to do so. Noticing any shifts within your awareness. From time to time, you might even offer yourself those words of encouragement. And let them roam through the body. And maybe these words of encouragement aren't necessarily encouraging the body to remain still. Maybe they're encouraging the mind itself to relax within the quiet space. A few more breaths exactly where you are. Absorbing anything else that you notice. And from here, if you'd like to stay longer, you're welcome to do so. But if you're ready to release from dove, we can let the hands lower down to that right thigh. And maybe the right hand can help scoop this right leg out from underneath you. Whether you're hugging one knee into the chest, both knees into the chest, it might even feel good to straighten the legs for a moment. Maybe you extend them up towards the ceiling or just let them go long towards the floor. But we don't want to stay too long in a rebound moment. We're going to bring this right into a twist. So you might pick up the hips, and as you scooch on the left hip, hug the knees into the chest and supine twist to the left side. Now, as you hug the knees high into the chest, or as high as you can, letting the knees relax one on top of the other. You might find a blanket or pillow to prop the left leg or underneath the right thigh. And then same thing for this left shoulder. You might pick up the shoulders and scooch the left one underneath you a little bit more. That might not only be a little more comfortable, but also guide a little bit more of a stretch to the upper body. Your chin might be neutral. You might bring it over the right shoulder, letting the hands and arms relax wherever you'd like them to. And then beginning to arrive. And softening into the shape when you're ready. Allowing the body to let go of any unnecessary tension, unnecessary control. Sometimes in this space, we realize that what we are carrying here within the muscles, bones and organs is not actually ours. And this gives us the opportunity to gently place it down. Encouraging the mind to stay present. Encouraging the body to breathe expansively. Be here for a few more breaths. And as ambiguous of a cue as it can be, a few more breaths just to let us again soak up anything else from this experience. Consciously being aware. And as you take one more breath to absorb, you can either stay here or gently begin to unravel. And then one leg at a time can begin to release. The right leg can lift, the left leg can lift. You might press your feet into the mat to pick up the hips and settle them back down. You might notice some movements for the arms as you stretch or the legs as they lengthen. Instead of being on your back, you might find yourself rolling on the belly, coming up to sit. That meditative pause can be in any particular shape. And then softening. Softening even in rebound. As we let ourselves feel the echoes of the fascia. The tissue contracting back towards the joints, muscles and bones and organs within the body. Letting the nervous system here absorb that new information. Absorb that new sensory experience that was felt during the stretch. As it travels into the memory of the energetic body. And of course, you can stay here a little longer if you'd like. Or whenever you're ready, you'll begin to awaken from rebound. No rush at all. Find as many movements as you'd like until we gently come back up to sit. Take your time, and even now that we're sitting, you might find another movement or two, a stretch for the arms, maybe some movement to the spine. And then as we adjust, I'll start talking about our next little sequence of stretches. But again, this will give us some options. We're all basically doing the same thing, but there's an option. So option one is essentially you'll start to one side of the mat, whatever side you want, because then we're also going to rotate to the opposite side. So if you want to come into deer, left shin will come in front of you, right knee comes back behind you. And then you'll prop your tailbone. You'll support with pillows, blocks, bolsters, whether that's to fold or even just to wrap around the body. But option one is to take deer on the left side, left shin in front of you. Once we release from deer, we're going to come into another stretch, right? So then we're going to straighten out our legs. You'll turn to the side of your mat, and then we're going to take dragonfly. Okay. After we release from dragonfly, we'll rotate to the back of the mat, right? Adjust the body. You'll gather your props still with you throughout this whole time. And then you're taking deer on the right side. Okay, so option one is to be in deer, dragonfly, deer. Option two, in case you don't want to take deer, you'll take straight leg pigeon. So straight leg pigeon then is where we straighten that left leg out long. That right knee bends in towards us, and then you fold over that left thigh. So instead of being in deer and sitting this way, you'll straighten that leg, adjust on the hip, and then you'll fold. But same thing. Then you come into dragonfly, and then you'll rotate into straight leg pigeon on the right. Okay, so, and I mean, to be honest, one side of the body might need deer and the other side of the body might need straight leg pigeon, and that's fine. So just be ready to know like, okay, well, once I get to the right side, it might be a little different, and that's okay. But for now, feel free to pick whichever pose is calling for you. Of course, you can start in one and then transition into the other if you'd like. As many props as you'll find supportive, use those props. Whether it's to prop the tailbone, prop the hip, propping chest and belly, forearms, forehead. And remember here, you don't have to rush to the deepest stretch the quickest. But stopping where you begin to feel that first experience of sensation. And then you can always travel to go a little deeper when need be. Noticing what you feel through the lower body, through the torso, or through the upper body. Allowing the body here to let go of any clenching or gripping that you notice. And sometimes we think forcing ourselves and pushing through brings us to that next step. And at times that might be valid. But here within our yin practice, we let that softening and that release and that deeper sense of relaxation guide us to that next step. to elevate us in some way as we become more and more aware or observant. To receive this new influx of information from the body. And so here within your deer shape or sleeping swan, straight leg pigeon, you might take another breath or two. You might choose to stay a little longer in this particular shape. Or whenever you're ready, we'll gently press down into the mat or press down into the floor or into the props. And you'll slowly lift up the head and chest. And then in doing so, you'll unravel that back right leg and you'll just start to position yourself into dragonfly. So you might press your hands down into the mat and, re-shimmy on the hips. Again, you might find that blanket to prop your tailbone to support the fold and gather some new props if need be for dragonfly. And we're just moving ourselves right into the next shape. The legs can be into a V as close or as wide as you'd like. You might keep the spine a little more neutral. Maybe you have a slight hinge or you're a little bit more rounded. Notice what's occurring through this left thigh, left leg. Observing those sensations blend with what we now feel in dragonfly. Checking in with the breath. And checking in on the gaze at the backs of the eyelids. Noticing the mind's eye, seeing, maybe even drawing pictures itself. And as we lean into the stillness for stability, we might even lean into our words or phrases of encouragement. So here within Dragonfly, finding maybe one or 2 more cleansing breaths. If you'd like to stay here in Dragonfly, you're more than welcome to do so. But when you're ready, we can begin to press down into whatever surface we're leaning towards, slowly lifting up through the head and chest. And again, you might pause because there's no hurry until you take that next step. You'll move some props out from the legs. And then as you bend through the knees, we'll face the opposite side of the mat. Sitting on that right hip now, you might be in deer, right shin in front of you, left knee behind you, or maybe you'll bring that right knee or left knee back behind you, right leg straightens out in front of you. And you'll take straight leg pigeon. Both are good options. Just coming into whatever this side of the body is asking for or looking for. And our fascia is going to be different. It's going to be wired differently from the left and right side, based on how we walk, based on how we sit, based on past injuries, based on natural bone structure. And again, not clinging to this aesthetic alignment purpose. Can you support yourself in any way the body feels is necessary? Can the knee or foot or hand be placed in a particular area because it wants to be? Because it knows that that's what is right. Continuing to soften here. Still breathing within the fascial sensations. The tissues uncoiling or deknotting from within themselves. A few more moments here. Riding that edge between comfort and discomfort. If you'd like to stay a little longer, you're more than welcome to do so. Whenever you're ready, we'll slowly and mindfully begin to let ourselves release here. And in doing so, now we have that free time to unravel however we'd like. Again, you might fold over straight legs. You might find yourself coming to lay down and take some movements. You might find yourself finding tabletop, maybe moving through cat-cow and then settling into child's pose, but just take as many counter movements as you'd like. And then settling within that rebound space, no matter what it looks like, no matter where it is. This gives us that opportunity not only to encourage ourselves, but to also observe that sense of empowerment here. Just following the body's guidance. And then settling just so that it gives us time to observe. Feeling any shifts or recalibrations of the nervous system. Even some sort of resetting physically, energetically, emotionally. And just taking one more breath here. And then whenever you're ready, of course, you can stay in rebound a little longer if you'd like, or maybe you begin to release. And you might find a movement or two as you release from rebound, whether that's for the shoulders and the arms, maybe it's for the hips and the legs, right? Whatever you might need. And then from here, we'll talk about our next stretch. That will guide us to come to lay down. And again, you'll have options. So from here, I'm just trying to think which way I want to face. Let me turn this side. So option one is essentially going to have you come into banana with our arms up above the head as we curve. But option two of that is you can take reversed wing, where we're laying on our back with that one arm underneath us, and we're still making that lower body curve of banana. But let me show you. So as we come to lay down, right? Option one, you can bring the arms up above the head and you'll curve to the right. So your hips are still pretty even to the floor. Your legs just walk to the right. By no means am I asking us to flip up the hips or twist into the hips. It's more about keeping connected to the mat as you find this curve. And I'm running into all my props here. But anyway, you'll curve the body to the right with the arms up and above the head. As that left shoulder lifts, you might want to prop it. You don't have to though, but it's an option. Okay. If you don't want to do that, you'll just take reversed wing. So you might start with the knees bent and you're going to take this left arm and walk it underneath your back as much as you'd like to. If you don't walk it that very far, it'll be less or different. But if you walk it farther underneath you, it's usually more of a stretch. Knees can be bent, especially if that's a lot. You might straighten one leg. You might straighten both legs. Or you'll also find that curve of banana. And you can even lift this right arm up above the head if you want, or you can keep it towards the floor, but you can still find that arch and that curve within the body. Okay, so feel free to take the full banana stretch. If you want to include reversed wing, you're welcome to. If you have any questions, let me know. And within that banana curve, even specifically for the lower body, sometimes the feet will touch, sometimes they won't. You don't have to force them though, by any means. And taking a few transitory breaths, right? Transitioning ourselves back into yet another stretch. In a stillness to feel sensation, where it might hover in one space or travel throughout the body. Again, letting the awareness dance throughout the body so that we can create this current of conversation. As the stretch continues, the body may need us to soften a little more deeply. And as we sit within that space of the edge, where we hover ourselves between some comfort and some discomfort, we still might notice this resetting of our awareness, this resetting of our nervous system. Showing that we can truly respond to situations differently or in ways that we may not be used to. In ways that we might not qualify as our first instinct, but only because instinct here is blinded by pattern. So take a few more breaths exactly where you are. Witnessing this particular shape and the stretches that you feel. And then whenever you're ready, very slowly, we might first awaken the legs. And we'll allow the legs to travel back to center. Right? If you're in banana, the arms will come back to center as we even out on the spine. If you're in reversed wing, you might bend the knees. As you pick up the hips, you'll release that left arm from beneath you. And it could feel good to windshield wiper the knees if that's the body's immediate response. Maybe you're gonna hug the knees into the chest and even find another twist. but really taking as many counter movements as you'd like. No right or wrong shape. And then we'll settle into that space to rebound, however that looks. And feeling comforted here and rebound. Noticing the breath of fresh air as that flourishes throughout the body. If you'd like to stay and rebound a little longer, you're more than welcome to do so. Or whenever you're ready, we'll begin to release from rebound, which you might find another movement or two. And then we'll talk about either banana or reversed wing on this opposite side. So in terms of the taking banana, your legs will now curve to the left. Your upper arms, or well, both of your arms will reach up above the head. And as you walk your torso and inchworm your way to the left to create this, half moon or banana shape with any props underneath the right shoulder, back of the head. And then of course, if you're taking reversed wing, don't curve the body just yet. Feet will press into the floor. You'll walk your right arm underneath you. Anywhere comfortable for the back. It'll probably sit within the natural arch. Your knees can stay bent. One leg might straighten, both legs might straighten. Yeah, maybe you even curve the legs to the left. The left arm can reach up above the head if you'd like to. So feel free to play around with both of these options, one of these options. We might compare the way we feel today in this shape to a previous class. And that might be good for comparison's sake, but truly let yourself arrive in that best edge for today. Depending on how the fascia feels, depending on where the mind is. Not overstimulating the body by stretching too deeply, too quickly. Just easing our way into it. You might notice some cleansing breath. Sometimes it could seem sudden. Your body's communicating here that it is receiving from this stillness. It is receiving from this quiet. It is feeling nourished from the release of unnecessary tension in the fascia. Maybe you've checked in with those same words of encouragement. Maybe they've had some evolution of their own experience. Maybe different words or phrases coming to mind, maybe some addition of words or some subtraction of others. A few more moments here. Whenever you're ready and moving slowly, you'll begin to unravel the legs first. Take your time to move through the arms. If you're in reversed wing, you might bend the knees. And as you lean to the left or pick the hips up, you can unravel that right arm from beneath you. And it might feel good to wrap the arms over the chest. Contract the shoulders in a different direction. Again, you might find some movements through the hips, whether it's windshield wipering the knees, hugging the knees in. Maybe the body's offering another twist. And of course, settling into rebound. Not only reflecting on that previous experience, but also allowing ourselves to resonate with it. Stopping to smell the roses, just to see, witness, and observe. Where we might get insight through the stretches themselves. Other times the insight will arrive in rebound. And if you'd like to stay here a little longer, you're more than welcome to do so. But whenever you're ready, we could begin to awaken from rebound, letting ourselves maybe release through the legs. You might rock side to side, release through the arms, whatever that may mean. It could look like a yoga shape. It might just look like the body in movement. But then I'd like us to just come into one more thing before we settle for Shavasana. We'll let ourselves come into our toe stretch. But again, I'll give us an option. So as we come up to sit, right, if you don't want to sit on the toes themselves, you're more than welcome to stay seated. You'll draw one foot over the ankle, right? And as you do that, as you place your other foot on top, it's not the entire foot. You just pick up your right foot, Let it step over the left ankle or the left foot a little bit. Holding it there, you'll find a stretch more towards the top of the shin or ankle. And then after a few breaths, you'll switch to the other side. If you do want to come into toe stretch itself, you'll bend through the knees here, tucking your toes, sitting back on the heels. And of course, finding any sort of blocks, bolsters, anything if you want to hinge and support yourself, leaning forward. Maybe even your palms come down to the mat instead. So as you tuck your toes and as you lean back into the heels, that will deepen the stretch, hinging forward slightly. Supporting the body a little more might be the best place to begin. And of course, your chin can stay neutral, or you might lower the chin. But finding your breath here, again, giving us that space to create the current of conversation. Observing the connection from head to toe, provided by this netting of the fascia. And still allowing the body to soften here. Relaxing through the eyes and jaw and chest, hips. Another breath or two, exactly where you are. And then when you're ready, we'll begin to hinge forward and take your time. Right? Eventually your palms will come flat to the floor as you untuck one foot and untuck the other foot. If it feels good, you can drum the tops of the feet, no rush. As you drum the tops of the feet, you might shake the feet and lift them in the air, roll into the ankles, so on and so forth. And then from there, as you release the feet and feeling them rebound, you might take any other final movements, any other final stretches here until you're ready to allow yourself to settle into rebound. Rebound, yes, but Shavasana. We'll use our Shavasana as our final rebound. Right, no rush to get there. You might stay on the back, the belly, the side body. Just notice where the body gravitates towards. Of course, you might find a prop or two to help support you, or no props at all. But as we come into that space, that final shape of practice, whereas if all of our mini rebounds were like the extended Shavasanas, yet again, we give ourselves the opportunity to absorb our practice as we welcome ourselves into the quiet moments of Shavasana. very gently. Let's begin to deepen our breath as we arrive back into the space of our bodies, noticing the placement of the hands and feet. We can begin to wiggle through the fingers and toes, roll into the wrists and ankles. Maybe you'll lift the arms up and above the head to take a full body stretch. The knees might bend here, and as you bring the feet flat to the floor, maybe one more time you hug the knees into the chest and lengthen through the tailbone. But eventually we'll all roll to one side of the body, whether that's the left or the right. And resting there as you begin to feel this breath of fresh air along the spine. You can stay here if you'd like, or maybe you'll press down into the floor and walk yourself back up to a seated shape. But ultimately ending practice however you'd like in any particular way. And settling in for that moment of reflection, where we might hear or recite those words of encouragement a little more clearly, letting them resonate here within the body. And as we notice this reclaimed space, expansion of breath, clarity within the heart and mind, we'll close our practice with a cleansing breath. Your hands might stay relaxed within the lap, or you might gather them into prayer here. But together we'll inhale through the nose. Open the lips to exhale. And as we gently bow our chin to the chest, thank you for practicing with me this evening, being elevated through yoga. Namaste. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Feel free to take any stretches or movements if the body's looking for anything. Thank you.